They can lie to you about where you are, who you are, what you are. They can literally take away your life force, your potential. And that's what they're doing. This is a spiritual war we're in. Fear is the only way they can control us. And all of that is fear-based. F-E-A-R, false evidence appearing real. When you see the true nature of our world, when you see what it's not, forget about what it is, what it's not. And that's a ball flying through an infinitely expanding space. I was doing, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole podcast, looking into all the big deceptions, New York, Connecticut, Boston Marathon, and everything. And then people started suggesting flat Earth. And I'm like, oh, this is just a psyop to make us look stupid. I assumed without a shadow of a doubt that flat Earth was fake. Therefore, this has to be a psyop. People come to foregone conclusions. That is a foregone conclusion. And I went in not to find the truth. I went in to debunk flat Earth and prove the globe, because I still had the firm, solid belief that flat Earth was nonsense. Only when you look can you see, right? You can, you can bring somebody to knowledge, but you can't make them think clearly about the shape of the earth. God put the sun in the firmament. I think the sun that we see is a reflection of the sun through the firmament. We're seeing it metaphysically being projected onto the dome. There was a NASA whistleblower that I was communicating with, and I said, what's up with the firmament? And he said, at about 72 miles up, the air turns into plasma, then it becomes thicker, like water, and then it becomes solid. He says, we have the ability to go up there and investigate, but we're forbidden to. This is NASA. And I asked him, who forbid you to go up there? Is it your superiors or somebody above your superiors? And he wouldn't answer me.
Welcome to the Days of Noah podcast, where we talk all things biblical, supernatural, and strange. Today we're privileged to bring back, for the second time, David Weiss, better known as Flat Earth Dave. And just what a wealth of information he has on not just this controversial topic, but so many of the secrets of our world, of how God created things, of the lies of history. So many things that have been covered up and obfuscated and basically obscured so that we can't see what's really going on. That the rulers of this world want to seek to keep us controlled and in fear. So on this episode, we talk a lot about the common objections that people have to this flat Earth idea. How does this work? How does that work? Eclipses, meteors, gravity, satellites, the ISS space station. How do these things work, and are they just more lies to obscure the truth of God's creation? Guys, thanks so much for being out there listening. We do appreciate each and every one of you coming back week after week, listening to these episodes. And if you enjoy them and get value out of our work, if you wouldn't mind supporting us in the simplest way possible, and that is to share a link to these episodes with your family and friends and on your social media, and take a moment to go to your favorite podcast catcher and leave us a positive or 5-star review. All of that does help to grow the channel and get these shows out to more people. So with that, let's get started talking to David Weiss. Well, we welcome back David Weiss to the Days of Noah podcast, and a lot of you probably better know him as Flat Earth Dave, and that's his website, of course, flatearthdave.com. How are you, Dave? Good to have you back.
I'm doing great. So not this flat Earth topic again, really? You're
my
really
gosh, are we really going to go here?
For those of you that thought just went through your head, stick around. It matters. It changes your life. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And there will never be a day in your life again where you don't think about it once you see it.
That's true. And we talked about it last time, and I will connect it back to what Bart Sibrel said about the moon landings. It's a bigger deal if they lied and covered it up than if they actually accomplished the moon landing. So when it comes to this topic, it's a bigger deal if it's actually a truth that has evidence behind it, which Dave has done thorough investigation on this, and it has evidence behind it. It's a bigger deal that is not mainstream accepted as true, like water being wet and the sky blue, like everybody just goes, duh, of course it's not a spinning ball. That's a bigger deal than otherwise. And so, yeah, stick around. And Dave, last time you said, do you want to lose listeners by having you on the show? Well, I got to tell you, I just looked it up a few minutes before we got started. And the first half of our episode, first half of our recording, episode 1, part 1 of our recording last time, is my number 4 most downloaded episode of all time.
Nice.
Yeah.
That happens for 2 reasons. One, because I'm absolutely awesome. But the main reason is flat Earth. It resonates with your soul because it's the truth. People have been lifted out of depression, drug use, whatever it is, or however it manifests, because your soul gets tired. It's like, I give up. This person's lost in the mainstream news. It's living in fear, can't see anything, can't shut up his mind for a second. But then when you see the flat Earth, everything quiets down. You're like, all of a sudden you resonate with the Earth, and it changes everything. What difference does it make? I still have to go to work on Monday, is how they programmed you. They programmed you to don't bother looking. By the way, flat is not a shape, right? So the shape of the Earth doesn't matter, right? It's where you are, what this place is, and the true potential that you have that they're hiding from you. If people say, well, why the lie? We can show you, we can prove scientifically that the Earth is flat, not spinning, not in a space vacuum that violates natural law. If they can lie to you about where you are, who you are, what you are, they can literally take away your life force, your potential. And that's what they're doing. This is a spiritual war we're in.
Yeah. Maybe that's a good segue. I hinted at this last time about a personal testimony that I had. So I'm just going to maybe share a truncated part of that story for me about 10 plus years ago. And this was a personal thing. I was going through quite a bit of anxiety, and it had to do with the imagination, the thought, I couldn't get it out of my mind for some reason, about the motion of the supposed globe. And I've had other anxiety issues in the past, and this one, for whatever reason, at this stage of life, just hit me, and it was awful. Like, I lost my appetite, and I just had a constant, burning of adrenaline in my stomach. And so I went to God in prayer, and I'm not big on fasting. I really should make that more a part of my kind of Christian practice, because Jesus expected us to, like he said, when you fast, not just if you fast. So he expected it to be part of your life, just like prayer and other things. But I did sort of a mini fast where I was working second shift at the time. And my favorite meal of the day, Dave, was coming home at 11:30 at night and fixing myself a nice big old snack and watching some TV. Like, that was my, hey, I just got through my work shift. I get to enjoy myself, right?
Yep.
And I decided I'm gonna forego that. When I get home, I'm having nothing to eat or drink other than water, and I'm gonna pray. And I did that for about 2 weeks. And nothing happened until one day after this period, or during this period, I'm scrolling through YouTube and I see flat Earth as a topic in my recommended feed. And
what year was this?
This was, I want to say, 2014.
That's when they would recommend it. Since 2017, it's been gone. But go ahead.
The algorithm changed. Yes, absolutely. It's hard to find things. But you were just saying you've broken the algorithm. You actually find a decent playlist, right? But okay.
I've been on so many non-Flat Earth channels that the algorithm doesn't know what to do. So if you search Flat Earth Dave, which I don't recommend, but it comes up with 9 out of 10 of my videos. Which is great. It's dominating. But if you really want to find the stuff, just go to flatearthdave.com and watch the videos there. That way you'll get none of the garbage. Make up your own mind. Don't believe anything I say.
That's right. Do your own critical thinking. Yeah, so I'm going through this really hard time. I can't get past it. I start seeing a counselor about it. Nothing's working. And I see this video, and I have the same reaction that you had to it, that you said, Dave. You scoff at it. You go, what is this garbage? right? Well, before too long, I start clicking on a few things. I start looking at it with an open mind, and I go, okay, what's this all about? And I think I was heading out of town to my in-laws that weekend. And I, like you said, you didn't sleep for 2 weeks. I watched like hours and hours and hours over like the next 3-4 days. And somewhere in that weekend, it just dawned on me, wait a minute, there's enough evidence to this that this is plausible. And I remember sitting there having my prayer time at my in-laws in the basement in the morning and just imagining the space around me in Illinois and going, it's not moving. Everything's calm. I'm fine. It's calm. And, I brought that to my pastor, Dave, and he obviously didn't think that was God giving me an answer. But I look at a verse that says, if a son asks his dad for a fish, is he going to give him a scorpion? No. And Jesus was basically saying, look, I'm a good father. I know how to give good gifts to my children. Even an evil father knows to give good things to his child. And to me, this was God giving me a reprieve from this terror that I was feeling, literally. And when I hear about the testimonies of yourself, of people who have come to faith in Christ because they realize that they were specially created for this unique place, they're not one of billions of rocks just randomly strewn about this massive universe, but this is made for them. It changed their life. And I have never dealt with that anxiety ever again. And so, I'm actually saying it on air. I did a video many years ago on YouTube that a best friend of mine saw, and that started us down the disagreement where he cut off all ties to me because this is such a divisive topic, isn't it?
Well, we were programmed that way. Nobody likes letting their ball go, right? Take a ball away from a baby. Try taking a ball away from a grown man. That's whole life was built around it. So think about this. You're driving down the road and your mind is making millions of calculations. Hey, is a kid going to come out from behind that car? Is a cat going to come? Was that light about to turn? How fast is that car going? Is that person going to walk into the road? I mean, everything. You're just calculating all of this stuff while you're having a conversation, while you're talking on the phone and doing whatever you do. But your brain is doing all of these things. It's like you're not worried about a mountain lion jumping out and killing you because you're in a city somewhere and there's no mountain lion. So all of this, this is how we navigate the world. But deep down in our subconscious, we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. We're orbiting at 66,000 miles an hour. We're chasing sun at 500,000 miles an hour. We're moving sideways at 2.5 million miles an hour. An asteroid could take us out at any time. We're running out of oil, dinosaur juice. Where nuclear bombs are going to blow us up. All of this is to throw you off kilter, right? And they change our time twice a year so we can't sync up with the natural cycles of the sky. They do all of this to keep us off balance. Fear is the only way they can control us. And all of that is fear-based. FEAR, false evidence appearing real, right? And that's what they do. When you see the true nature of our world, when you see what it's not, forget about what it is, what it's not. And that's a ball flying through an infinitely expanding space. What is space expanding into? It's expanding like 1 billion miles an hour or something, right? Like, what's it going into? It's more space. And they laugh at us, like we think down is down and up is up. You think it's antipodal, all these different directions. So once you undo that, your soul, your inner being can talk to your conscious mind more, right? But if you're lost in the sauce, living in fear, having false beliefs that are rock solid, then your soul is going to give up and you're going to get depressed. You're going to get old. You're going to get confused. You're going to become a drug addict or whatever it is, however you deal with it to get yourself going. So flat earth takes you out of all of that. It shows you reality and it gives you, I used to be bored a lot. I don't even know what bored is. I can't even fathom what bored is anymore, right? I used to be bored. I'll be like, all right, I got 20 minutes left to go. What am I going to do? I'm going to stare at the TV. That's what I'm going to do, right? And watch Gilligan's Island or something. It's so dumb. But once you break the matrix, that's a documentary, by the way, The Matrix.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So once you do that, it literally frees your mind. And there's some people that just you can't wake up, and I'm getting really good at noticing them. The people like, Dave, you're flat earth. I was like, yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? And I'll walk away because I know that person isn't here to wake up. Not everyone's here to wake up. So I offer it. And if they're receptive, then I get them.
Yeah. So since I was kind of raw there and shared my testimony on that, what comes to mind when you mention people getting off drugs and things like that? Like, what stories anecdotally do you hear about people's lives changing for the better when they come across this? Because again, if this set me free from fear, how could it be Satan's doing? How could it be a psyop? And we're going to get into that psyop topic later, but any testimonies that come to mind about people who have had a turnaround for the better?
Well, I can talk about my experience a little bit. I don't like using the word atheist, but I guess I was, because I just didn't believe in any. I just believed in evolution because I was taught that in school. The authorities taught me that. The teacher had a pocket protector, and he must know because he's got pens in his pocket, right? The cloak of authority. And when I discovered the Earth is flat, what does that mean? It means it's intelligently designed. Then I have zero option for there not to be a creator. If you're walking in the jungle, it's your first day on Earth, you don't know anything, and you come across a 100-story building, there's a builder, right? You don't know who it is, but there's a builder, right? So this place is way more complex than a building, and so are we. And so there is a creator. And so that changed my life completely. Just that alone, right? But then when you understand that we're not living in a world of lack, we're not living in a world of fear, we're living in a world where nobody can touch you unless you give them permission, right? And people are like, well, that's not true. This horrible thing happened. All of your life is your fault. The only enemy in this world you have is your own mind. That's it.
Well, it's what we do with it too. Like, bad things happen, yes, but it's what we do with it, right?
Well, when you say bad things happen, things happen.
Things happen.
And it's hard to say if it's good or bad because it's giving you a lesson. It's teaching you something. It's bringing you somewhere, and you don't know where that is. In my life, I have goals. I'm like, I want this certain thing. And I figure I'm going to go at it this way. And what happens is I take a left turn, a right turn. I do a little loop-de-loop, and then finally I get there. But I didn't plan that path. Right? The world brings me, but I know when I'm going to get to a destination. I just don't know how, right? So you know how the old saying, don't put the cart in front of the horse?
Sure.
Absolutely put the cart in front of the horse. You have to make like you have it, feel like you have it, and then you will have it. Your feeling brings in reality.
Kids are, and not get into the manifestation thing of it in a new age kind of way, but there's truth to the idea that what you put forth and put energy into makes a difference. I mean, kids are naturals at this. They start pouring over, back in my day, it was, the Sunday newspaper or the catalog and look at all the toys, and you get fixated on a toy and you circle it and you tell mom and dad about it. Well, there's a good chance you're going to get that toy because you put all that energy out and you gave your best sales pitch to mom and dad to get it, so there's some truth to that. Let's get into
good.
Yeah. Unless you want to comment on that quick.
I just want to tell a quick manifestation story. Like when I first realized how manifestation works, I was in college and I didn't have a lot of cash. And I was like, hey, what can I do besides selling weed to make some money that would be fun? Okay. Right. Right. And I just said, okay, universe, bring me something, right? And literally that afternoon, we came up with the idea of doing, the game Assassin with the squirt gun, right? Where everyone that's playing gets a name of someone else in the game. You don't know who has your name, and if they find you, they squirt you with a gun. You have to give them your card, and the last person alive wins. Okay.
Okay.
So I for the first game, I charged $1 to join the game, and we had about 1,000 people join campus wide. Okay. So then the next game we charged $3 and we had like 6,000 people join.
Oh, wow.
Okay. All cash, and everyone had the greatest time ever. And guess what? The winner won $100 and the second place guy got a case of Budweiser tall bottles. Okay.
That's all you had to give.
That's all we had to give.
That's a pretty good idea.
Everyone was a winner because everyone had a great time. Everyone had a great time. But it's just like, I don't know how I thought of it. It just happened. right? And it happens again and again and again in my life, right? I've never taken a job that was offered in the newspaper or I found on LinkedIn or whatever. I've always created my own jobs. I go to a company and go, I'm going to work for you. Well, we're not hiring. And I was like, well, I'm going to work for you anyway. And if I make you money, you can pay me. They're like, all right, bring it. And then I end up being the number one guy in the company after literally a year. Right. So that's it. It's as you think about it and you can create anything you want.
There's some truth to that. I think there's some abuses that can happen where it becomes almost like an occult witchcraft principle, where some people take it to that extreme where they think, oh, well, if it didn't happen, you didn't have enough faith or you didn't try hard enough. And that can lead to like spiritual abuse in a church setting. But yeah. I'm with you on as far as if you're putting towards energy, if you want to get better at a sport and you are just sitting around waiting for it, it's not going to happen. But if you start watching videos, you start putting it into practice, there's an element of that. Let's get into maybe one of the biggest things that I hear. And that is this flat earth thing is a psyop. And I'll just throw out a couple names because I'm not disparaging them. I actually respect these guys a lot. And our listeners will be familiar if you're not, Dave. Tim Alberino, who's worked quite a bit with Steve Quayle and has written some excellent books talking about a lot of the stuff that we talk about on this show. His latest book, Birthright. And Dan Duvall is also someone I respect quite a bit. It's been on my friend Rod's show quite a bit, has a ministry helping people who have been satanically ritually abused and helping in deliverance. So two highly respected guys, but both, in their opinion, it's a psyop. So how do we break that down, Dave? What is your opinion on that? How do we say that it isn't a psyop, and why do people think that it is?
Well, when I first heard about, I was doing, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole podcast, looking into all the big deceptions, New York, Connecticut, Boston Marathon and everything. And then people started suggesting flat earth. And I'm like, oh, this is just a psyop to make us look stupid. I just assumed that because I assumed without a shadow of a doubt that flat earth was fake, right? Therefore, this has to be a psyop. People come to foregone conclusions. That is a foregone conclusion. And it wasn't until Sophia Smallstorm made me look. And I went in not to find the truth. I went in to debunk flat earth and prove the globe, right? That's not fair. I should go in. Let me see the evidence. I just went in to go, let me get rid of this because I still had the firm, solid belief that flat earth was nonsense. And only when you look can you see, right? You can, you can bring somebody to knowledge, but you can't make them think clearly about the shape of the earth, right? So you mentioned a lot of names like Steve Quayle, you said, right?
Steve Quayle, yeah. So Tim Alberino has called this a psyop, and Dan Duvall has as well.
So I don't know enough about it. I know those names. Steve Quayle, I think I had some dealings with him trying to get him to have a discussion. They won't even come to the table. They won't have the discussion. Now, does that mean they're just so convinced it's stupid they don't want to waste their time? Because I was that guy. I wouldn't I wouldn't go to the table. People say that these guys are paid gatekeepers. It takes me a long time to jump to that, right? I don't think that's the case. I think that they're just lost in their world belief. If you have 100% belief the earth is a globe, 100% belief the earth is not flat, and you have all of your evidence, you're going to put it on a globe because it doesn't make any sense to you. Not until you understand what flat earth is. These guys probably still think the flat earth is a disc floating in space with water pouring off the edge, right? That's the dumbest thing ever. But if you Google flat earth, that's where you end up. So I think I've offered Quayle. I said, and I even tried to get people like SGT Report, Veritas Radio, all these guys that have him on to say, hey, have a private conversation with Dave Weiss. And they've reached out, they've pinged him and, never got a bite back. So that makes me suspicious. But I'm still not jumping there.
I think it's a line, if I can say it this way and kind of answer my own question a little bit. I think there's a line that people aren't willing to cross in their paradigm.
I was there.
And I'm okay with that. The many guests that I've had on, Luke and I have had on the show over the last 2.5 years since it's been going, we don't agree on everything, and that's okay. I think, the guys at Skywatch TV, like the late Tom Horn and you got, Derek Gilbert, L.A. Marzulli. These are wonderful guys doing great research on on the end times.
I like LA. I like
right?
LA. I like
yes.
LA.
But there are certain things that are like, nah, I don't go there. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. You know, there's certain conversations I have with people about things that go on in the spiritual world where I'm like, I don't know about that one. Is that biblical? I don't know.
Take the good, leave the bad.
Yeah, exactly. So we don't have to accept everything. But anyway, yeah. So why isn't it a psyop? I mean, you would say because there's evidence that supports it.
Yeah, absolutely. People like Steve Bassett, you familiar with him, the UFO guy? Right?
I think so.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I've been trying to reach him for years, and he's leading me farther and farther to he's a paid agent, but I still don't want to go there. I just like your UFO disclosure thing works scientifically on a flat Earth. It does not work in physics defying space, right? It doesn't work, right? Your UFOs visiting us from the extra land beyond Antarctica, that's just a couple thousand miles away. Extra terra is where the extraterrestrials come from, extra territory beyond Antarctica. It makes sense. Literally, somebody can come from the outer lands, come in, abduct you, anally probe you. I think that's what they do, right? And then they get back in time for dinner with his kids that night. You know, it's literally that close versus incomprehensible distances. You know, the closest star in the heliocentric system is 25 trillion miles away, 4.5 light years, closest star to our solar system. 25 trillion miles. Just think about this. And you think flat earthers are crazy, right? If we were traveling a mile per second, in 1 second, we've gone 1 mile, right? So if we travel for 1 trillion seconds, how many miles have we gone? 1 trillion miles. 1 trillion miles, right? So that's faster than anyone has ever gone. How long is 1 trillion seconds? You know, right?
Oh, we did this last time.
Yeah, 31,000 years.
Yes.
So if we were traveling to that star for 31,000 years, we got to do it 24 more times to get there. If we were going 100,000 miles an hour, which is incomprehensible, it would only take us 28,000 years. Or there's more land on the other side of Antarctica, about equidistant as the United States is from Antarctica, just that much farther, right there, inside an enclosed world.
And dimensionally, we could have a being right next to us in a dimension that we can't 100%. Interact with.
I also think there's more going on below us, physical beings below us. It's
Absolutely.
Undeniable. Do you watch My Lunch Break?
No, but you told me about it. I need to check that out.
You need everyone. My Lunch Break. Go find him on YouTube. Find him on Rumble. He's everywhere. On TikTok. Just go start watching his videos. And then you'll start to see the issues with L.A. Marzullo, the issues with Graham Hancock and stuff. These guys have a paradigm that they're unwilling to look out of. I don't think they're bad guys. I was fans of them all, but I've outgrown them. I have.
Yeah, and that's fair. Right. Yes. You chew the meat, spit out the bones. Right. And not everybody. That's why, man, if anybody's ever heard of the late Jim Rohn, Rohn, he was a Christian guy, a business philosopher guy. He would teach at seminars way back in my days when I was trying to do network marketing. I got into his personal development CDs, but he had so many good, like Zig Ziglar, if you remember him, so many good, just wise quotes. And one thing that he would always say is, be no one's disciple except the Lord's. Because everyone has some things wrong, right? So use your critical thinking.
Except me.
Except for Dave. Except for Dave. He's got it right.
I got it right. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So, and no, here's the other point I was going to make. I think when people have a paradigm that includes the space, planets, stars, solar system, galaxies, Carl Sagan, Star Trek worldview, they don't want to give that up. Like that whole paradigm of, oh, this planet's coming. What does that mean? Are there, fallen angels on there? I don't know, man. I think it's a light in the sky. I don't know what it is. Maybe we should talk about planets here for a minute, because it could be physically somewhere. I mean, it is. The Bible says that the sun, moon, and stars were placed in the firmament.
Yeah.
So whatever that is, it is a physical place. Let me bring this up. So again, Dan Duvall, I respect him. His big reason that he's brought up many times about rejecting flat Earth is he has counseled many, many people who have been in terrible situations due to satanic ritual abuse and delivered them from demons and all sorts of the most awful things you can think of, Dave. He's brought people through with the power of Jesus' help. And their testimonies, like over and over and over, is, I've been off planet. I was on this planet and there was a base there and there's this and there's that. I think that could still exist in the cosmology that you and I share, where these aren't physical places we can necessarily go to. That firmament actually is a dome that actually divides us from them. But dimensionally, could they go there? Physically even? I guess. What are your thoughts on that and on planets?
Yeah, so there's a lot to say there. First off, they tell us planets are the distances that they claim. That Jupiter is 400 million miles from us or from the sun. And the sun's about 100 million miles from us, so it's 4 times farther. But when we look at Jupiter in the night sky, we see it as bright as the sun. It's just it's like a big star, but it's super bright. So Jupiter's made of dust and gas, and that's not reflective. That kind of absorbs light, right? When you shine a light on something. So if you were on Jupiter looking at the sun is going to be the size of a pencil eraser. It's going to be so small, right? And that little light is lighting up Jupiter, reflecting off of the non-reflective clouds, traveling 300 or 400 million miles to Earth, and we see it that bright. That is scientifically impossible, as your mind is able to sort that information out. If you understand the inverse square law of light, it's absolutely impossible. The brightness that we see the moon is absolutely impossible, right? If we went to the moon, at the moon would be like 60,000 times brighter than the sun. It's like so stupid for us, the sizes and brightnesses that we see things. So taking all that away, the someone that claims that they were on another planet, that's how they know. I'm not going to call them a liar. I'm going to say they're seeing what their paradigm is. So you get a flat earther and a globe earther. And let's say we have a ship that can bring you up to 300,000 feet, which is super high. Okay. We're not going to hit the dome. Let's say the dome's higher than that. So, and it's the afternoon when they take off, right? So you take off and the world is going to turn in to just a light. You're going to see a half Earth, right? Because it's the afternoon, and it's going to turn into a light. The sun is going to get smaller and smaller as you move away from it. And then in the distance, if you can see that far, which you should be able to at that height, you're going to see other points of light. You're going to head towards one of them, and it's going to get a little bit bigger. And then you're going to notice that it's actually another sun lighting up another pond, a round pond. But to you, you're going to see that half circle light, and you're going to think it's a sphere. And when you land there, you think you're on another planet in a space vacuum.
Sure.
When the truth is, you are on just another part of the plane. A piece of the plane is called a planet, right? And if there's other ponds out there, now people say, well, that's not biblical. God created the firmament. This is all that there is. Okay, cool, right? Well, God put the sun in the firmament. So let me ask you a question. When you put your milk in the refrigerator, you put it in the refrigerator, you put it under the refrigerator?
Right. Inside.
So I think the sun that we see is a reflection of the sun through the firmament. We're seeing it physically, metaphysically, being projected onto the dome. If you hold a light over, get a glass bowl, turn it upside down, and hold a light above it, you'll see that light floating in thin air inside the firmament, inside the bowl. All right. And I think the sun that we see is the non-physical projection of the actual sun, which is in the firmament, not under, in the firmament. And maybe there's other lights out there. Here's the last thing. The point I want to make for the biblical people that say, this is it. God didn't tell us where the firmament connected. What if it connects 1 million miles past 60 degrees south? It's still exactly what the Bible says. That allows a crap ton of extra space for more land, still within the biblical earth. Hey everybody, quick message that I'd like to share with all of you. Our lives are filled with toxins in our air, food, and even in the information we're taught. Avoiding them all is impossible, but helping your body detox doesn't have to be complicated. That's where Masterpiece comes in. Just 5 drops under your tongue twice a day, and that's it. Super easy, super simple, and it doesn't even taste bad. I've tried countless supplements, and while generally I'm pretty healthy, I didn't really feel much of an effect. But with Masterpiece, it delivered noticeable benefits. Check out the podcast I did with Terry from Masterpiece, linked below this video, or you can find links directly to Masterpiece on my website, flatearthdave.com, or in the shopping section on the app. The key to health is to detoxify. Now back to the show. Right? So a million miles, we could have 50 more Earths out there, 50 more planets, pieces of the plane. So
Sure.
Again, I'm not claiming that's what it is. We do not need to go farther than than we're allowed to go to prove the shape of the Earth. That's provable. I don't believe the Earth is flat. I know it's flat. I have beliefs that there's more land that we're unaware of.
Yeah.
I have evidence of it, but I don't know it for a fact.
Yeah. Yeah. No, those are good points. Yeah. And I agree with you. I think, what the testimonies that Dan is hearing, are still plausible with the cosmology that you and I have. I mean, there could even be a group deception where the demons and fallen angels that are transporting these people supposedly dimensionally or physically or both, two supposed planets, their whole story is you're on Mars, you're on this, you're on that. That could be part of it. I think about how, Satan and his kingdom, he's called the prince of the power of the air, right? That's often called the second heaven. So if God occupies the third heaven, because we know there's at least three, because Paul mentioned that he was in the third heaven, and Satan is the prince of the power of the air, that's the second heaven. That's his kingdom. So maybe this whole, lights in the sky thing is kind of his domain, and God is above that. And that's where this deception originates. I don't know. That's just kind of my personal opinion on it.
I mean, when you look at the heliocentric model, all of the 666s that are in there, it's mind-bending.
Exactly.
You could say, oh, there's three. That's a coincidence. There's 100. There's 100. They're all 666s.
Go over a few of those.
Off the top of my head, the Earth tilts at it's 66 off of 90. It's 66.6 degrees. The spin where the Earth curves at 0.666 inches per mile. Yeah, 8 inches is 0.666 of a mile. The moon is 6 times 60 times 600 miles wide or kilometers. I forget the exact numbers. We're traveling around the sun at 66,600 miles an hour. There's a whole bunch. There's so many of them. It's unreal. I can actually, let me just quickly check.
Yeah, go for it. Grab a few more.
I've got a little list. National Aeronautics and Space Administration. If you do a reverse numerology on that, so A is 26 and Z is 1. I added up 666. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And then where is it? The axis of the Earth is 66.6 degrees. The Earth orbits the sun at 66,600. The Earth's circumference is 600 times 6 times 6 times 6 times 6 times 600. The speed of sound is 666 knots. The force of gravity is 666 newtons. The Arctic and Antarctic circles are at 66.6 degrees north and south. Astronaut Peggy Whitson spent 666 days in space.
Yep.
It goes on. It goes on and on.
It's all honoring their gods, Dave. Just like the Apollo program, the Apollo, the name itself, and then the planets' names. They're all honoring those gods, the fallen angels that procreated with human women in Genesis 6. It's where we started our show. It's the basis of all these false religions and paganism and all these gods. The Greek gods, Roman gods, Egyptian gods, they all came from Genesis 6.
Let me ask you a question about planets real quick.
Yeah.
What in the helio nonsensical model, right? Or the soul lure system where they're trying to steal your soul. What do the planets circle? What are they going around?
Is it Polaris?
Well,
North Star?
is. No. In the heliocentric system, everything circles the sun.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Heliocentric. Helio is the sun, right? But in reality, all of the planets, all of the asteroids, the sun and the moon all circle Polaris.
Uh-huh.
Isn't that? And Polaris is just a random star to every other place in the solar system except for us, or our axis is pointing towards it, our alleged axis, right? So there is no excuse for them doing their spirograph patterns with Polaris at the center. There is no excuse other than everything is circling Polaris. Polaris is God's throne, is what they say.
Yeah. Since we mentioned the sun, what do you think the sun is? I've heard that that might be plasma. That it's, if it is a physical thing, maybe it's held up because this whole Earth is electromagnetic, and that's how it's staying up in the air.
So I think the sun that we see is a non-physical projection of the actual sun. What do I think the sun is? To me, I think it's responsible for human consciousness. I think it is literally the center of the creator. And if you are you familiar with Crow 777 radio, CRR?
Yeah, I used to listen. I should probably get back into it.
If you go, you should check out Crow. 2 hours in Crow 777 radio. He has done he has a hydrogen alpha telescope. There's only like 3 or 4 or half a dozen sold in the United States. And he's been doing work on the sun where he has taken layered photographs. You look at it, there is no doubt that what we're looking at is far beyond intelligence. It's far beyond sentient. It's far beyond being alive. And if you look at it, it's beyond our ability to understand. It is not a fireball in a space vacuum, which defies natural law. It is where our consciousness comes from.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I have this pulled up here, Dave. You probably know this story in the Bible. Joshua was sent to deal with the results of a lot of these fallen angels mating with humans, and even after the flood, they somehow came back. There's different theories on that resurgence, but there were giants that he had to wipe out from the land of Canaan and surrounding areas. And one particular battle in Joshua 10, Joshua has the audacity to say in verse 12 and 13, "Then Joshua spoke to the Lord in the day when the Lord delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel. And he said in the sight of Israel, Sun, stand still over Gibeon, and moon in the valley of Ajalon. So the sun stood still, and the moon stopped, till the people had revenge upon their enemies."
Well, if you believe in the Bible, then the sun and the moon stopped. If it was the earth that stopped, the oceans would leave the basin of the ocean. Think of the momentum of that. Think of what a tiny little earthquake does. If the earth stopped, 1,000-mile-an-hour rotation stopped, even just slowed down rapidly, all of the oceans would be out of the oceans. And it would just be over. When you say giants, how big of giants are you talking? Because I'll tell you what I think.
Yeah, well, I know there are some people who say, oh, they were no bigger than 9-10 feet. I think at a minimum, this is God saying this in some quotes. He says they were like the cedars, or another tree. I'm drawing a blank on
the giant trees of the past.
Well, yes, we talked about that, right? Like they could be. You thought maybe even miles, the original ones, perhaps.
Yes, I think that these giants were thousands and thousands of feet tall.
What was the channel that you mentioned last time? Because I mentioned
he just
Mud
put out
Fossil
a new
University.
Video. Yeah, this was I Am the Improbable Dreamer on what's he on? He's on Instagram. I Am the Improbable Dreamer. Is also, I think it goes by the Doctor's In. But if you have my app, the star button is featured channel. Oh no, not that. On the Old World page, which is the Griffin button. He's listed there. His channel's there. There's such good stuff on the Old World page. Mind blowing.
And this is where you can, pull back from a plain view of a mountain and see that it was like a physical being. Is that kind of stuff that they look into?
There's on the Old World channel, there's a channel called Stellium 7, which is basically geology is hardened biology, right? And when he first came out with his this mountain here in Spain is an elephant or a type of elephant, and I'm like, it's just one step too far, even for me. And then I watched this video, I'm like, I don't know. Then he put part 2, and I watch it, I'm like, Then he put part 3, I'm like, my Lord, right? Then part 4, I'm like, I can't believe I'm going down this rabbit hole, and it is unbelievable. You get into melted buildings, hardened, frozen titans. I mean, Himalayan sea salt. You know what that is? That's flesh. That's crystallized flesh.
Oh, great. I'm having it every day now on
Me
my
too.
eggs.
Me too. But you know what? I drink
It's good
Shilajit. You
for
know
you.
what that is? You know what Shilajit is? Shilajit. The people take it. It's like this black tar. It's really high in all these. It's Titan blood. All right. It's unbelievable. This world
Wow.
we're on the backs of giants. And when we say giant trees, I'm not talking the sequoias that they have in California or wherever they are.
They're nothing.
Those are weeds. Those are little weeds. Okay. There's a channel on the Old World page called it's just listed under giant trees, and he identified a tree that's about 80 miles in circumference. Okay, 80 miles in circumference, and it is Hangman 1128. Hangman 1128, and he shows these. He's up in the mountains, and he's showing these big, huge rock lit ridges, and they do look like trees, and they are look like cedar that is dead cedar, that how it breaks apart, and the rocks look just like it. But that doesn't mean anything. I mean, similarity. Then you look at the patterns in the rock, and it looks like the rings in the trees. And there was one day he was messing, and he flecked off a big piece of rock, and underneath it was wood. Okay, it hadn't turned to rock yet. Incredible. It was still it's incredible. But wow. Once you see the stuff, by the way, my app, the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, has all of this stuff on it. The app is $3. You can find it at flatearthdave.com. There is an $11 a year subscription if you want to be part of the social media and be able to talk to other people and stuff. But the amount of information that's being hidden from you is well worth the $3. flatearthdave.com. Check it out. Not only does it support me, it supports you in your truth journey. And people absolutely love it. I get letters every day saying, "Thank God for the app. It really woke them up." And there you go.
Absolutely. We need a resource like that. That's kind of off the books in the way where the Google censors, the YouTube Nazis don't get to control it. So I don't post these episodes on YouTube, so I can say pretty much whatever I want.
There you go.
So what about the firmament? What do you think the firmament is? Is it a hard dome? Is it glass? There's that video that I've seen over and over from years ago where supposedly an amateur rocket was sent up with a camera, and it looks like it just stops, like it went into gel.
Like it went into like a plasma, not like if it hit like solid water.
Yeah,
I think it would have been destroyed. So there was a NASA whistleblower that I was communicating with via email, and he proved who he was. He was telling me about meetings and who was there and everything. And I looked all the stuff up, and I'm like, okay, this guy's legit. And he's like, you could ask me anything you want, I'll answer whatever I can. And I said, what's up with the firmament? And he said, well, at about 72 miles up, the air turns into plasma. Then it becomes thicker like water, and then it becomes solid. I'm like, okay. And he says, we have the ability to go up there and investigate, but we're forbidden to. This is NASA. And I asked him, who forbid you to go up there? Is it your superiors or somebody above your superiors? And he wouldn't answer me. He wouldn't answer me on that one. Yeah. So, and then, the Go Fast rocket hit something, and it stopped spinning all of a sudden. And then we pointed that out in 2014 or 15 or whatever that was. And immediately, like a couple weeks later, they had, it has a anti-spin yo-yo device. So it sends out these weights on rocks and with weights on them, and it spins and it stops it from spinning. And they showed a little example of it, a little demo at some college university. Nonsense. Absolute and total nonsense. And I'm like, why would you care if it's spinning? Why would you put that extra weight on there? Show it to me on the rocket. They just wouldn't talk about it. And everyone's like, it has the anti-spin on it. But that's not the thing. That thing went up. It went kerplunk. It floated really weird. It turned on its side, and then you could see the black sky and you could see the moon. Now that was launched over, I think it was Arizona or New Mexico. Right. Arizona, I think. Maybe New Mexico, whatever. Either way, they're right next to each other. And the moon was over Australia. So if the Earth was a basketball and that rocket was on the top of the basketball, it was a millimeter over the basketball, and the moon was directly below the basketball.
It was below it, right.
It was below the basketball. And so you couldn't see it. We saw the moon. Game over. Earth is flat. Game over.
What was that? The late Rob Skiba mentioned this in some of his talks. What was the high altitude nuclear test? Was it Dominic or Operation Fishbowl or
Operation Fishbowl? Now they say nuclear, but I don't believe in nuclear bombs. And
that's one I'll have to go down that road with you another time.
Dude, that's amazing. On my website, flatearthdave.com, scroll down, you'll see a nuclear bombs banner.
Got some stuff on that?
Listen to those episodes. Or stoplookthink.com, go to the New Coke page and just watch the videos. Until you do, you can believe in nuclear bombs. But once you do, you no longer will believe. You will know that nuclear bombs are not real.
I'm going to put a pin in that. All right, go ahead with the high altitude.
So they were blowing things up, and you could see the shape. They were doing it to see what the shape of the sky was. What?
This was in the 50s, right?
This was in the 50s, yeah. And then it was Project Fishbowl, and then Project Dominic, which is the fishbowl of the Lord. Is that what it is?
That's what Rob Skiba said.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so they're telling us. They tell us everything. We're just too, when judgment time or whatever you want to call it comes, they can go, we told them. We told them about 9/11. We told them about everything.
That's like a Freemasonic occult rule that they have to tell us.
It's called revelation of the method.
There you go. That's it.
They always have to tell us the truth, and they always tell us. And if we're too stupid, like I could say, here, Pete, eat this apple, and it's poison. And then you eat it, that's on me. I go, hey, Pete, this apple's poison, but it's delicious. Try it.
And I eat it
you
anyway.
Eat it, that's on you. Right?
Exactly.
That's how they look at it.
So they did these tests in the 50s, and then a couple years later, NASA starts. Is that kind of the order of things?
Pretty much.
1958.
I mean, NASA was like into underwater stuff with like Jacques Cousteau, I think. Then they went, they discovered Admiral Byrd said there's more land on the other side of the South Pole, bigger than the United States, that no human has ever seen. Wait a minute. On the other side of the South Pole, that would be in between Australia and Africa. I think somebody would have seen another United States over there, right?
And supposedly he logged like 60-some thousand kilometers and didn't, going along the shore of the ice wall, and he didn't come back to the place he started. That would not happen at the bottom of a ball.
I don't know about his journey there, but I know that it was Captain Cook did it.
Oh, maybe that was Cook.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, and so the evidence is just unbelievable. It's just beyond question at this point. There is no more debate anymore, other than there's just education. And as Nathan Thompson says, you can lead a man to flat water, but you can't make him think critically about the shape of the Earth.
All right. What about toroidal Earth? That the Earth is a torus. We know that electromagnetism, we talked about it briefly last time. Gravity, whether it exists or not, is basically non-existent compared to the force of electromagnetism. And some MIT guys, they made a drone hover, literally levitate, by electromagnetism. This isn't anti-gravity.
Electrostatics.
It's electrostatic. It's using these principles. So could the Earth be toroidal and even donut shaped? And then to you and I, it looks flat. So we call it flat, but some people semantically go, no, it's a toroid.
So if you know what a double toroid looks like, if you have a double toroid, it creates like this apple shape. And then in the center is a plane of inertia. That's where everything is moving the slowest. That's the physical reality where we live. We live on that plane inside the double toroid, right?
Wow.
And so all of the luminaries are on the magnetic paths above us, right? It makes perfect sense. Now, what you asked me before, what the firmament's made out of, I don't know. The Bible says molten looking glass. Okay, I'll go with glass.
Compared to that, right? Yeah, like a mirror.
And then you look at Libyan desert glass and stuff. It sounds that way. I don't know. Are there ways to get through it? At certain frequencies, maybe there's openings. Maybe it goes millions of miles past 60 degrees south, right? And maybe there's other, the sun will reflect. Like if you had a sun, remember I said the sun is above our firmament or within it. What if the firmament was gigantic and underneath it were all of these domes, right? Where all of each world has its dome. If I had one light up there, each one of those would have a sun appearing in it. Go out when on a sunny day, look at cars in the parking lot or on the highway, and you'll see inside of every car is a sun. You'll see the sun in every car.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And so I think that's how we experience the sun.
Okay. So this toroidal idea or a torus
Yeah.
field that is part of the framework of what could be a flat Earth. Like they could work together.
100%.
Essentially?
We
Yeah,
live
okay.
inside of something, as above, so below. So we have this double toroid. We live on the plane of inertia, and all of the sun and the moon are literally just sound waves. God spoke the universe, the one verse, into existence. So all of this is done on vibration and frequency, and so we're here experience the apparent physical world, right? If I was there, I could punch you in the shoulder and you'd be like, hey, cut it out, right? Ouch, that hurts, right? But that's just the physical world that we live in. It has rules. It has laws. And that's where we are. Now, if you raise your vibration and you raise your understanding, do you leave this world? Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah.
I'm having a good time.
Well, okay. So then could it be donut shaped? Could there be a hole at the center?
Well, you look at,
North Pole?
if you look at the double toroid, everything looks like it's going in. There's the famous picture, supposedly from a Russian military guy of the North Pole, where it looked like literally a black hole, everything going into the Earth there.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Are we allowed to go? Are people allowed to go there the way Antarctica? No.
No. So the Antarctica, no one's allowed 60 degrees south except under very guided situations. And in the North, they have this incredible electronic fence type, surveillance where nobody can go past, I don't know what degrees north it is, but you can't get to the North Pole. You will be stopped by the military just as you would be in the South.
Really?
Why is that? No planes fly over the North Pole.
That's what I was just going to ask you.
No.
They don't go directly over it.
They'll claim that they do, but there's no evidence of it.
What about the so-called magnetic south they say is moving or it's not in the same place? Is there even such a thing in the south?
I don't, all compasses point to the north. Compasses barely work in the south. That's because it's so far from the north.
Yeah.
Right? Compasses have to be level. They don't work on a ball, right? Hold your compass at an angle to a magnet. It's going to ground out. It's going to touch the bottom and it's not going to spin. You have to have it level.
Okay.
Right? Now they'll claim that, the magnetic field is wrapping around the globe, just like light refracts around the globe. That's why we see things that are below the curve. The globar explanations for things are complicated mathematical, nonsensical formulas and speculation. But on a flat Earth, the reason we see that building is because there's the building. It's right there. It's right there across the lake. We can see the skyline because it's right there. And a flat Earth, on a globe Earth, well, it's below the Earth, and the refraction is standard refraction along with temperature, humidity, and it's popping up and it's stopping right at your eye level. It's not going higher, not going lower. It's just stopping at your eye level to make it appear to be flat. And we're like, no, it's just flat. It's right there.
You know what I think it is, Dave? It's the word obfuscate. To darken, to obscure, to becloud, to confuse, to bewilder, to make unclear. And that's what, they do with financial instruments, derivatives and all of these terms that they use in the financial world so that people don't understand them and only Wall Street makes money because they understand them. They purposely make these terms difficult to understand. And it's kind of what you're saying too. It's like, no, you can't trust your eyes that you're stationary and the light above you is the thing moving. Actually, what's happening is you're moving at this speed and you're also spinning at this speed, and they just obfuscate everything.
I go on these TikTok lives lots of mornings, and we get these globe believers on, and we're like, they're like, we don't care about your views on flat Earth. What's your globe proof? Bring your globe proof. They go, well, I see the sun move across the sky. Oh, so you see the sun move across the sky, and that means that we're moving, or is the sun moving across the sky just like you see it? They're like, it means that we're spinning. I'm like, you see the sun move across the sky. You see the moon move across the sky. That means that we're moving.
So when a pro billiard player hits the 8-ball in the corner pocket, the table moved, the ball stayed stationary.
Yeah, yeah, right.
like it's nonsense. It's nonsense. Let's get into some more of the objections that people bring up, or questions. Maybe not necessarily objections, Dave, but decent questions that people have. How does this work in a flat Earth model? Let's start with this was one of my questions. How did NASA was it NASA that made the original blue marble Earth pick back in like 1970 or 69 when around the Apollo missions? So they didn't have CGI, they didn't have AI and all this stuff. Well, I don't know. What did they have? What do you think? How did they put that together?
I think they had AI in the 1700s. Okay. So what did they just create AI? And like, let's quickly get this out to the public. Let's not use this for ourselves. Let's quickly give the public the best version of what we have right away. That's not going to happen.
No, I'm with you there. But how do you think they created that?
That is a painting. It's literally a painting.
It's a painting.
They did have Photoshop back then because Robert Simon, the NASA visual artist, said he made it in Photoshop. He was given data and he created a something that people would expect the Earth to look like. He created it in Photoshop and he stepped and repeated the clouds. And he was very crappy at it. You could see the same clouds in multiple places.
I remember that, yes.
And then we watch, we look at all different pictures from different years. And like, look how dim the world's getting because of pollution. But all the clouds are exactly the same years later. The exact same clouds on the globe Earth, And then people are like, well, they said we're going to the moon just in 2 more years, right? In 2 more years, it'll be 2 more years, and it'll be 2 more years, and it'll be 2 more years. They just kick the can down the road.
Yes, they do.
Constantly. And people are like, you wait. What are you going to say when they have hotels on the moon? I've been waiting since I was 6 years old for that. Right. And it's been a while.
Yep. It has. Let's talk a little bit about gravity. People like to throw that one on at you and think that it's so self-explanatory. The way I understand it, it has to do with the electrostatic, electromagnetic Earth, and it has to do with density and buoyancy. The same reason why you can get different liquids, shake them up in a jar, let them settle, and they will settle themselves. Same reason that a helium balloon, which has weight, it has mass. Why isn't gravity pulling it down? It has to do with density and buoyancy. But maybe you probably have a better way to frame it. How does gravity work or not work?
You have a handful of marbles, ping pong balls, and a helium balloon. You hold your hand above a swimming pool, and then you open your hand. The helium balloon's going to do what? Helium balloon's going to go up. It's going to go up. The marbles and the ping pong balls are going to do what?
Marbles going to go down. Ping pong balls might float.
Well, they're all going to go down until they hit the water. The ping pong balls will stay on top of the water. The marbles will go to the bottom of the pool. Okay? That's all based on buoyancy and density. But I'm holding a marble in my hand, and I snap my fingers, and the entire Earth disappears. There's nothing except me and the marble. If I let it go, which way is it going to go?
I would say down. People that believe in gravity.
Down? Which way is down?
Well, yeah, which way is down? Towards your feet? I guess?
What if I spun around? What if I turn my feet upside down? There's nothing to reference it to. So is it going to go anywhere? The answer is that's an impossible question to answer. But things go to the Earth because the Earth is not moving. The Earth has a testable negative charge to it. Testable, scientific, provable charge. And anything above the Earth is the sky has a positive charge. So when it's above the Earth, it's surrounded by that positive charge. Since the Earth is not moving, positive and negatives do what? They attract, right? So there's a flow of energy from the sky down into the Earth. Testable, measurable. You can put a drone up, hang a thin copper wire on it, touch that wire. I dare you. Okay. There's energy in the air. So the electrostatic, we can manipulate it. We can have something. I get some helium balloons and I've got a little button and I've got it neutrally buoyant, like 2 inches above the floor. And I have a wire attached to it to a Van de Graaff generator. So I'm going to add a higher positive charge to that button. And when I add a higher positive charge, it goes down. And when I discharge it, it goes back up. Did we manipulate gravity or did we manipulate the electrostatic charge? Well, we provably manipulated the electrostatic charge scientifically. Gravity, whether it's Einsteinian or Newtonian, right? They change from Newtonian to Einsteinian because Newtonian just doesn't work and Einsteinian nobody understands. The bending and warping of space-time, which is basically the bending and warping of your mind. So now we have a theory that's untestable and a testable thing with electrostatics. So let's pretend and we're just going to pretend that gravity is real. Okay? Well, the people that are the gravitationalists, the globalists, they say that the electrostatic charge is 10 to the 36 power stronger than gravity. Do you know what 10 to the 36 power is? Because I don't.
Yeah, we went through some similar numbers last time. I think we did, right?
Yes.
36 zeros?
36 zeros, right? A trillion. Remember a trillion? Remember how big a trillion was? A trillion is 12 zeros? 12 or 15. I always forget. I can't do it. Can't do what I'm talking. Right? And then you got to times 1,000, times 1,000, times 1,000. We're up to 18 zeros. Times 1,000, times 1,000, times 1,000. I mean, the number is so huge that and I don't believe that the electrostatics is 10 to the 36 stronger than gravity, because gravity can't exist then. It's nothing. It's 0.0036 zeros and then a 1. That is nothing. Nothing. Right? So they're telling us, again, revelation of the method, they're telling us that gravity is nothing. The gravity could not overcome 10 to the second power, let alone 10 to the 36 power. Gravity couldn't overcome 10. Just 10.
And the way I think of it, Dave, is you need gravity in the heliocentric model,
it's
right?
their God.
Because how do the oceans stay on the Earth if we're spinning, and how come I don't feel it? Gravity is the magic answer for all of it. But you don't need this magical force with the cosmology that we're presenting, right?
You were talking about MIT and their silent drone that has no moving parts and it flies. Well, the XRT-3B, I think that's the name of it, the triangle aircraft that the military has, they disclose papers, look it up, that it lifts and propels using electrostatics. And where's it getting that electricity from? I think it's just pulling it out of the air. I mean, I have a machine that pulls electricity out of the air and puts it in your body. It's amazing. But no, my point is, why don't, if they we could all have flying cars, right? Silent flying cars, right? We could all have that, but no, they don't want us to know about this. Hey, everyone. If you enjoyed this interview, please help support my work and help wake up others by referring or gifting the app to at least one person today. By doing that, you're going to help wake people up and help me to continue doing other interviews like this. With the censorship out there that's going on, it's very difficult to find relevant information. And the app, as you know, brings people to the truthful information of our world. So help support my work, help support your efforts in waking up friends, family, and strangers. Gift them the app or just recommend the app. And let's make 2025 the year Flat Earth breaks free. Check the links below for information on how to gift the app or just refer the app to others and use your referral code to earn Dome cryptocurrency and a free subscription. Thanks.